You are catching us live from SBI Live Studios. And viewers, yes, of course, the JM Financials conference is underway. And from the sidelines of that, we are being joined by Gaurav Jaugani, who is Director of Consumer Discretionary JM Financials Institutional Securities, joining us on the show. Hi, very good morning, and thank you so much for your time. And firstly, let's talk about the overall underlying demand in Q2. What we have seen is that it was on the weaker side, despite that festive advancements and some of the other demand parameters at play. But are you seeing any green shoots in Q3 as GST rationalization has already played out, or does the muted momentum is likely to continue going ahead?
Sure. So yes, we have started to see some demand revival from the end of Q3, largely because post the 22nd, the new rates were in effect, and consumers started to buy at the new rates. Also, the festive period also began during the same time. Q2, the first half was impacted because of monsoons across the various parts of India, GST, the upcoming GST rates, and in general, the consumer demand was also a bit muted. I think the strong demand momentum has continued in October, and November has been so far a mixed bag. But I think people are hopeful for the demand momentum to sustain in December.
All right, sure. Hi, Gaurav. This is Kavita joining in, and let's talk about F&G and value fashion, which seem to be growing well, while QSR and footwear remains weak. What, according to you, is driving this polarization in discretionary demand?
See, what we are seeing is the trend towards the premium categories doing really well, especially if you see jewelry. Jewelry continues to grow well despite the high gold prices and the sharp jump that we have seen. Some bit is also led to an investment-led demand there too. On the other hand, consumers are down trading to the value fashion segment, and there was also a preponement of festive. Because if you see, most of the value fashion players operate in the eastern and the northern belt of India, and that is where the Durga Puja benefit is also seen. The mid-premium players did struggle a bit. I think the carryover inflation was one of the reasons that we see an impact thereon. However, in Q3, we have seen demand revival or demand resurgence there. On the QSR side, the problem is the transaction growth is there. However, the average ticket size they have gone down because consumers are seeking more value. And to give consumers more value, most of the companies have started to give discounts. So the net realization impact is seen, while the transaction growth is kind of flattish to growing.
All right, but along with that, Gaurav, how much did the early Navratra pull forward the sales from Q3 to Q2, especially in the apparels and the jewelry side? If you can give us some sense over there. And does this distort the true demand trend?
Yes, you're right. So when we are looking at the demand trends, we are essentially looking at the Q2 and Q3 together. So to give you an example, while the value fashion players, some of them have seen growth in the tune of around 70 to 80%, which generally is not the case, and that's just the base readjustment. But even if we look Q2, Q3 together, I think the growth there should be 30% plus. So the underlying demand or the underlying SSGs continue to remain strong. On the jewelry side, we have seen also actions from most of the organized jewelry players in terms of gold on exchange offers towards making charges. That is also kind of stoked demand in a weak demand environment. On the other hand, we have seen the transition from consumers towards the 18 karat jewelry, which is making the jewelry more affordable versus the 22 karat that we see. So there are some demand trends changing on the consumption side as well towards the lower end value to make it more affordable.
All right, Gaurav, now SSG remains negative low single digit for most QSR players. Now, are you expecting a recovery in volumes in H2, or will the segment continue to rely purely on store additions? What's the analysis over here?
Yeah, so our expectation is, the recovery in the SSG would be more gradual in nature while you might not see the negative numbers that you saw in Q2, but even the SSG positive would be in low single or mid single digits only. We believe that the recovery will take some time. See, the cuts in the income tax rates, the GST rationalization are some structural measures taken by the government, but these measures will take some time to transfer to the consumer wallet, and hence we expect the recovery to be more gradual in nature.
Watch out for that. But Gaurav, with value fashion apparels performing strongly, but the premium apparel still is seen to be on the weaker side. Now, is the consumption down trading trend becoming structural? What are your thoughts on that?
So I would say not structural, so to say. It's just that the consumer is seeking more value, and at present the value guys are providing better products at better prices, which is gravitating the consumers towards them. But even if you look at the super premium or the luxury end, the consumption is still strong. Good brands like even US Polo or Ralph Lauren, or some of these brands continue to grow really well. It's just the mid-premium brands that are really suffering in our analysis.
Let's focus on the jewelry space now. Gold prices up 43% year on year. How much of jewelry growth in value versus volume are you looking at? Should we expect a volume slowdown in H2 now?
I think when we analyze the jewelry segment, the analysis is more towards the overall value, because the consumer generally tend to adjust their ticket sizes. Whenever they go for shopping jewelry, they generally take their ticket size into consideration. And hence, as I mentioned, that the 18 carat and 14 carat are seeing more traction. So it will be better to look at the overall value growth, and the value growth in Q3 is looking better versus even what the H1 numbers have been so far.
All right, Gaurav, with this we let you go. So good having you on the channel today. Thank you so much for making the time out and speaking. All right, but with this, viewers, we are completely timed out in this edition of Buy Now Sell Now. It's a goodbye from me and Kavita and the entire team who put the show together. Thank you so much for tuning in.